A beautiful day it is, and the start of a new week, most definitely. Welcome to VOP This Morning. I am Moses Humphrey. Now, as the world fixes its eyes on America, as Donald Trump gets back into office as the 47th President of America, well, we'll also be keeping you updated in the course of the day of what is going on in America. Some Americans are disappointed that it's going to be an indoor event as against the tradition of an outdoor event. Oh, well, what are the reasons? Well, you get to find out. Well, that's not one of the things we're talking about this morning. We will be focusing here in Nigeria, looking at issues that concern us. And one of those issues is the issue of insecurity. Oh, well. Destroy terrorist hideouts. Chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal demands action as military crushes Bello Turji's stronghold. Well, that's, of course, is one of the issues we'll be touching on this morning. I am Moses Humphrey.
And I am Chukuma Okoro. Good morning and thanks for joining us. Well, Moses, today is beautiful that America is swearing in
yes.
Trump today. But I think it's taking place indoors because several attempts have been made at his life.
Well, they didn't say that.
But I'm just saying. They didn't,
Yes.
they didn't say they said that, but I know that's probably the reason.
Of course, that's one of the reasons.
And so Nigeria, we are not alone. When people say that Nigeria is... Anyway, let's go away from that. And you talked about, I think we've been asking for intelligence from our security agencies. Now we have intelligence. I mean, the military says that, look, Turji Bello is panicky because the military smoked out, people from his hideout and killed his son. Isn't that some form of intelligence? Anyway, when we go away from that, we'll talk about Tinubu's economic policies will set new records in 2025, and that is coming from Independent Media Policy Initiative. But the big question is, what kind of record are we setting? Is it good record or bad record? Anyway, stay with us and find out all of this in the course of the program.
Some people will say he is setting good records, given the fact that even the IMF have projected that his policies will start working properly for given 15 good years. I am Fina Okechukwu, and those actually are the major topic of discussion this morning, but do well to be part of our family, as usual. On YouTube, we had Voice of the People TV and all other social media platforms. We had VOP TV Live. For your active participation, we also have a number you'll see scrolling on your screen. Just do well to, you can send us a WhatsApp message, or you do well to, make a 1-minute video of yourself reacting to any of the topic of conversation that, tickles your fancy. Make sure you're part of VOP family, all right? And then, like I was saying before I talked about the number, on other social media platforms, you had VOP TV Live. On YouTube, we had Voice of the People Television. And interesting stories, again, that kept the social media buzzing yesterday and the previous days is how we have a deadly, a not happy weekend, if I'm to use that word, because there was a deadly fuel tanker explosion that happened in Niger State. It's one too many, if you ask me. Last year, we also heard about explosions in some states, but this particular one that happened in Niger State, in Duko, to be precisely, claimed 70 lives, including a pregnant woman and children. This happened as residents were scooping fuel when a tanker fell off, and then the whole place kind of engulfed in flame. At least 56 people, others also suffered severe burns, leaving the community in shock and mourning. Niger State Governor Umaru Bago has banned heavy trucks from Diko Road after this particular ugly incident. And I was having a conversation yesterday, and I asked, is it banning of trucks that will solve this problem? Nigerians have been talking about how we can cap this whole incident. Some talked about investing in rail station, in rail tracks, so that when we have all the highly inflammable goods, we can move them using a rail track to avoid having contact with other vehicles. And other people are talking about why is it that we invest, or we more like major on the minor and minor on the major, investing on Calabar-Lagos Coastal Highway, where already roads that we have in Nigeria are not motorable. These are the questions that some people are asking. And I asked this question yesterday on one of my social media pages. I asked, is this particular incident about Nigerians being hungry, or is it greed? Remember that when the tanker fell, according to eyewitness, a whole lot of persons run away from that place because they know that next other thing that will happen, maybe there might be explosion, given the fact that fuel is one of the highly inflammable, petroleum goods. But other persons went to scoop this product, and that was what led to the fire outbreak that took 70 lives. Chukuma, is it an issue of hunger in Nigeria, or is it an issue of greed?
Fina, I think there's a lot to it. The first thing is that it speaks to, one, the level of poverty in the land, if you ask me. I mean, why would people, considering the danger inherent in going to scoop fuel from a falling tanker, people still risk their lives to get to that venue, to see how much fuel they can scoop? Like, if you get 10 liters, you'll be talking about 10,000 naira or more. That could get a pot of soup, pot of stew for some families, if you ask me. But beyond that, it also speaks to our lack of orientation. We keep talking about the National Orientation Agency. It's possible, it is probable that a lot of people, that get caught in that incident have not heard before that, look, there was a deadly fire incident in Jesse, that there was another one in Sokoto, that there was another one in parts of the country that have things that have happened continuously. So it is possible that people are not aware of these things. So it's a call, a clarion call on the National Orientation Agency. That is their core mandate. That is what they should do to educate Nigerians. It goes beyond trying to defend the policies of government. That is not their business. When I move away from that, I talk about how to, transportation is a critical mass, is a critical issue in Nigeria. It's strategic, national strategic interest for so many countries. In many countries, you don't see people trucking fuel, inflammable materials and items on roads with tankers and all of that. This is not the first time. This is one too many. So like Fina said, it will be proper for the government to reprioritize and see how they can devote more attention, more effort to building rail lines so that we can use the railways, to convert these materials. Beyond that, it also speaks to what NNPCL has become. I think 1976, when it was established, or even before then, the act of having to build pipelines to depots and all of that, in some places, there's a convenient way of sending fuel, to dispensing stations and all of that, and not this crude method that we keep using all the time. It is because they have to carry it to filling station. That is why this thing happened. So it's a whole lot for the government. I think the government can do better than this. Given the enormous resources at our disposal, unfortunately, these resources are stolen, not by foreigners, but Nigerians like you and I, and we keep quiet. Well, that's it for me.
Well, like you've rightly pointed out, there are a lot of issues, a myriad of them that have led to these incidents, but I would rather toe the line of people being aware. Yes, because you can't say you're not aware of a likely incident that might happen from a spilling of fuel, and which, of course, every individual, even a 5-year-old, knows is combustible. We also have, these things have happened too often for people not to have heard or read or seen in social media. But the issue of greed, yes, the issue of greed, you just want to take advantage. The tanker, fell on its side, and I think they were trying to transload. And then people took advantage of the moment to steal as many as they can, as much as they could at that time. I saw a video of it where people were, running I saw a young man, with a bucket, with, his body, of course, soaked. He had fuel on his body, and he was running. That was what he was able to get. So it's greed. It's an issue of greed. But there's another issue that we are not focusing on, the issue of bad roads. That's another thing. I think government should ensure that our roads are pliable, our roads are devoid of potholes and gullies and the rest, and roads that we've talked extensively about how these heavy duty vehicles should not ply the road by daytime. They should ply the road at night. Yes, we've talked about that, but we know the security aspect of that as well. But the major thing is, if you insist that they ply the roads during the day, well, fix up the roads. Fix up the roads. Take care of potholes and the rest. Let the roads be smooth and pliable. Major roads, that is. Let the roads be, you know, if it's the federal road, if it's a state road, whichever one, whoever is responsible should fix up the roads.
Okay.
So vehicles can drive through, you know, without falling on their side. I mean, we've seen tankers, we've seen trailers, we've seen these things fall off
containers,
bridges, and the rest. It's quite unfortunate.
Quite unfortunate, Moses. I like the fact that you talked about awareness. You know, there was this incident. So I think it should be in Ekiti State where a tanker fell and people were trying to scoop fuel. You know one thing, one young Abolo or what, he went there to light a cigar, and boom, that was what caused the inferno. You know, just talking about awareness.
That's stupidity.
Is that okay? That's stupidity. That's stupidity.
Maybe he's not aware. You know.
That's stupidity.
And we're also talking about how Nigerians have been, you know, milking Nigerians dry, if I'm to use that word. And then this is coming from the Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP. They've called on the U.S. President-elect Donald Trump to uncover and repatriate stolen Nigerian funds linked to corrupt officials, demanding strict accountability for retained assets. Meanwhile, legal icon Professor Mike Ozokome, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, have also dismissed allegations against ex-Petroleum Minister Diziani Alison Madueke, claiming that UK investigations found no stolen Naira or Nigerian funds linked to her. And then one want to ask what is really happening in this particular case. We have a Nigerian ex-minister that was, you know, there were issues, or rather EFCC were kind of probing her, even the time we talk about the bra. I don't know if you know that story. Million naira worth of braziers, you know, bought by a minister and all that. Now, someone is coming up to defend such, saying that the UK investigation have made it clear that there was no stolen Nigerian fund to Diziani Alison and Madueke. But SERAP is calling on Donald Trump to say, please, let officials who have taken Nigerian money return it back. Help us to repatriate it. But my own question is this. We have some Naira or some stolen money that have been repatriated back to this country. For example, that of the one that was linked to James Onanefe Ibori, the former governor of Delta State, was brought back. We have Abacha's loot also that was also sent back to Nigeria. Now my question is, where are those monies, if I'm to ask? Is it that we're doing...
Any day you see you see the finance minister, you ask him.
Because we need to ask.
But my concern here is that, look, okay, talking about the golden brazier or what, I think Bawa, the EFCC helmsman at that point, came out to debunk that story. He said there was nothing like that. He was the one actually conducting the investigation. But number one is that, look, I like what SERAP is doing. Like I always say, SERAP has been very active, you know, in their responsibilities to hold the government to account and all of that. They went to court several times against President Muhammadu Buhari and secured judgment in favor of the Nigerian people. Whether those judgments were executed or implemented is another ballgame, but they are doing their best. But in this case, it's a good thing that they have also called on Donald Trump. But I think it is not Donald Trump's business. It is not his responsibility. It is the responsibility of the Nigerian government to look for people who stole our money. They have information. They know where these monies are. Don't rely on Trump, because the thing is helping Trump's economy. It is helping the UK economy. They will not ordinarily, on their own, without prompting, return these monies if you don't put pressure on them, like what SERAP is doing. But it also takes the effort of the government to put pressure on this government, US, UK, and Germany, and all Switzerland, and all those places that we have money. I'm kind of taken aback by Mike Ozokome, you know, respected lawyer and all of that. He is talking about UK investigations not finding any stolen Nigerian funds linked to her. But it is curious to understand that Ozokome didn't talk about the $52.8 million that was returned recently, before the end of last year, that were linked to Diziani Alison Madueke. We have money stashed away in Virgin Islands, all those offshore accounts and all of that. Nobody is talking about that. It's your duty to defend your client. But while you are defending her, it is disingenuous. It's a disservice. You know, it's some kind of harnessing some kind of creativity on the bad side to say that, look, UK investigations didn't find stolen money directly linked to Diziani. Talk about the one that happened in US and all of that. You know, you talked about the Delta State money. Well, you are very familiar with that story. When the money was recovered, Delta people were asked, They said, no, we are not looking for our money.
Just like the 1.7 trillion now.
Trillion naira. But when the monies were recovered, Delta people said, return our money. Federal government said,
your money was not stolen.
Which money are you talking about? You know, so in all of this, we should put pressure, not on UK or US, but on the present leadership. And it's also interesting to know that part of the problems we have is that these stolen monies, when they are recovered, they are relooted because you cannot account for them. How much has Abacha returned? What did you do with them? Just build one strategic highway with that. Just build one rail line with that. We have not. Just build one very important hospital with that. We have not seen none of that. So beyond recovering, we still have an issue of relooting looted funds. It's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate indeed. Yes. I mean, you've said quite a lot. Somebody did say something on one of our shows, and I buy that idea that when monies are recovered like this, they should be used to put up a structure, an infrastructure or something, put something on ground, and maybe target monies recovered from Moses Humphrey. Just say, just put it there. Moses Humphrey so monies recovered. Let it be there.
To shame you.
To shame me. Yeah.
And your generations.
And then so let us, if that is done, that will be the shaming actually. So people will see it. Generations unborn, if that thing, if it
tarries.
Yes. They will see it and say, oh, really? So there's this person that we read up in history. This is what the monies recovered from this person was used for. That way, people will be more cautious. Now, it's interesting we're talking about repatriating funds from abroad and what it's being used for. We have people that are currently in Nigeria looting funds, and we're still running after them. Some of them have, they're walking around free, because of we've had some sort of arrangement where they steal a certain amount of money and then they give back a little sum and they go free. It's an unfortunate thing. In Nigeria, we complain of not having money, but then when you put together all the monies that have been reportedly stolen from Nigeria, you'll see that this nation is super rich.
Super rich indeed, you say, my brother, and I also buy into that. I guess that's the reason we don't really understand the figures when it's being mentioned, how much people are being accused of stealing another. Okay, now another interesting story that we have to touch before we go briefly to look at the cover page of the National Dailies is how all marketers have declared that filling stations should not be blamed for the hike in the pump price of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, as queues for the commodity surfaced in various locations during their weekend. Last week, I think on Friday, we had Ipman, their spokesperson from the Southwest, saying that there is no intention for them to increase the pump price because they have enough. They have local refineries now that can get us this maybe fuel and other product from petrol at a cheaper rate. But why is it that we're having queues resurfaced in filling stations? Interesting question to ask. And why are we having it at this point in time? It's embarrassing if you ask me. Nigeria is one of the OPEC nations, and yet when it gets to us enjoying all these products from petrol, we tend not to have benefit from it. First, it was a fuel subsidy removal. We know that other nations are still enjoying fuel subsidy. But for Nigeria, we don't really have anything that we're enjoying. Moses?
Oh, yes.
We don't have it.
It's an unfortunate one indeed. The market forces are supposed to determine the price of these things, but I think it's a market force that is determining the price, and that's in December. Dangote came out and said, "Look, prices of fuel will be reduced," and Nigerians were excited. Even though that did not take effect immediately, it took a while for some filling stations to adjust the pump price. But there was excitement in the air. And I think Chukwuma at that point also said that he likes the competition because, the refineries, Port Harcourt refinery and Edo is coming together. The Warri refinery, I beg your pardon, is coming together. That's competition. And I looked and said, okay, this is the Christmas bonus. Now, Christmas is over and we're back to reality. So Dangote is still determining how much. And one would ask the question, what is happening to our, purported refineries that are working? What's going on? Are they dispensing fuel? Are they producing? If they are, why don't you flood the markets and make it difficult for Dangote Refinery to determine the price? What's going on, really?
I'll tell you what's going on. Yes, I did say, look, that there was competition because we saw prices dropping, price of the commodity dropping. But recall, too, that Olufemi Shoneye said that this was a Christmas gift. And I did that, I asked that question. Now that it's a Christmas gift, are we going to see a reversal of the pump price, after
now the question has been answered?
The question has been answered. Now, another thing is that if you go to X, oh my God, you can't help but laugh. One ex-user said, maybe they say Port Harcourt our refineries are working. Dangote don't give them another overhead again. That the people understand that it's more like a push and pull thing,
yes,
between Dangote and NNPCL. And when they talk about deregulation, liberalization, and all of that, so we begin to ask the critical question, does it mean that we have always asked the question, shouldn't Nigerians be entitled to some form of fuel subsidy, some form of subsidy on fuel? If you look at, they are telling us that, look, that the prices of crude oil, are going up, the Bonnet Light and the Brent crude and all of that. Shouldn't we, apart from benefiting from excess crude account and all of that, considering that it's gone beyond our benchmark, shouldn't we also benefit from the subsidy by selling to our local refineries, public or private, at a cheaper rate so that the prices will come down?
Oh, yes.
So that we can eat our cake and have it. But that doesn't seem to be happening. Quite unfortunately for Nigerians.
But let's see what happens in the coming days. We'll always keep our eyes on things and see how things pan out. Well, that's all we can take from trending stories. Let's go straight into the papers. Let's look at what stories made it to the cover pages of the dailies. And I'll be starting off with Daily Independent. Rising insecurity, reps mold targets for IGP. Service chiefs to check poor performance. Want appraisal to form basis of reappointment, disengagement. Gaza ceasefire begins with release of 3 Israeli hostages, 90 Palestinian prisoners. Arik Air shareholders debunk Amcon's insolvent claim before takeover. Ex-Petroleum Minister Diezani denies ownership of Repatriated, $52.8 million. LP crisis. Nenadi Usman, led caretaker committee, heads to Supreme Court, seeks clarification of appeal court's judgment on leadership tussle. Dangote clarifies increase in petrol price. Shatima to represent Tinubu at World Economic Forum meeting in Davos. Vandals destroy 18 transmission towers in 5 days. TCN laments. Onosonya refutes allegations, vows to defend reputation. All right, so these are the headlines. Oh, yes, we do have some more. Serap writes Trump, 6 return of Nigeria's stolen assets, ban on corrupt officials. Don't sacrifice education sector for IMF. ASU tells Tinubu, there you have it. Daily Independence, done.
On the cover page of the Nigerian Tribune this day, we have the banner headline to be Tax Reform Bills knocks kudos trail governor's proposal. I'll take that again. Tax Reform Bills knocks kudos trail governor's proposal. Expert says NGF's decision doesn't fully address long-term fiscal sustainability, fairness issues. Only removed political obstacles to the reform. Derivation should be up to 50 to 60%, they say. Decision speeds leaders groups. CUPP, Afenifere, Ndume, Okore, Northern Coalition speaks. And we have the banner headlines to be death toll in Niger. Tanker fire rises to 86. 80 victims given mass burial, 55 injured. Tinubu, governors, others mourn. Nigerians kick against fresh move to float another national carrier. Trump takes office today as 47th U.S. president. The stories are on page 2 and 3 respectively. Now, beneath the masthead, we have other headlines to be global oil prices behind hike in petrol price. That's coming from Dangote Refinery. The Ziani distances itself from Ownership of repatriated $52.8 million load. CBN, NCC, DMBs reach agreement on 200 billion naira telco fees debt. All right, and then we have a major pictorial where the governor of Ekiti State visited a heroic firefighter man who helped to stop a fire in a filling station in that state. And beside that pictorial, gunmen kill Celestial Church prophet during service in Ogun. Police in Ondo bust children trafficking syndicate, rescue 14 children in Anambra. The story is on page 27 of the Nigerian Tribune. Exforce Bank GMD Onosoye refutes allegations, vow to defend reputation. And then we have another bold headline, 2025 budget, NAS queries ghost project in Steel Ministry. Riders to that story, calls for independent forensic audit on expenditure. FG still looks for $2 billion to revamp Ajokuta steel firm. That's coming from Minister. And those are the headlines you see on the cover page of the Nigerian Tribune today.
And up next is the Daily Trust newspaper with the banner headline, $6 billion Mambela power contract deal. Obasanjo, Buhari testify in Paris court. And the window headlines, tax bills for passage, March. That's coming from the Presidential Committee. FG, that's federal government, reawards Abuja-Kaduna road contract. Hardship, 70 million Nigerians to get 75,000 naira each. I'll take that again for emphasis. Hardship, 70 million Nigerians to get 75,000 naira each. This government must be working very hard. Now you have other stories. Jonathan to Nigerians, don't japa over hardship. I wonder why you would japa if not for hardship. Now, negative portrayal of Fulani, unwarranted. That's coming from the Kano government. The Kano governor. Israel-Hamas truce. Displaced Gazans head home through rubbles. Another bold headline, which is like just the bottom strip. Niger tank explosion. 86 buried. 43 hospitalized. Others missing. I lost 6 relatives. Similar incidents killed 265 in 4 months. That's coming from the federal government. And that will be all from the Daily Trust newspaper.
Well, that's pretty much all we can take at this moment. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be diving into the issue of insecurity once again. All right, some would say we've talked about this quite a lot. Yes, we will continue until the relevant authorities pay attention and do what is needed. Destroy terrorist hideouts. The chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal demands action as military crushes Bello Turji's stronghold. Let's x-ray this recent development when we come back from this break. Join us again.
From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills 3 things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
Well, thanks for joining us again. Now, let's get into the conversation. The chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, Dr. Menasara Umaru, has issued a fiery call for the military to wipe out terrorist camps across northern Nigeria, targeting 9 notorious forests that serve as bandit hideouts. Speaking at the Bello National Memorial Conference in Kaduna, Kogo declared that decisive military action is key to ending insecurity in the region. Meanwhile, notorious bandit Kingpin, Bello Turji, has been thrown into confusion as the Nigerian military strikes, dismantling his stronghold in Zamfara state. But counterterrorism expert Zagazola Makama revealed that Turji's camp in Shinkafi and Sabonbini LGAs, including a school reportedly used to stockpile weapons and food supplies, were destroyed. Well, military sources confirmed that Turji's group suffered heavy losses, including the death of his son and key lieutenants. But Turji's desperate calls for reinforcements were ignored, leaving his network in confusion. As troops continue to track fleeing bandits, the military remains resolute in crippling Turji's operations and reclaiming stolen valuables. Oh well. Let's get into the conversation now. We have with us in this studio a communications consultant and an arbitrator. We have Akin Fatunke. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Moses and the crew. Good morning, Nigeria. It's always a pleasure to be here.
All right,
Good morning.
And right beside him is Barrister Darlington Agumo, who is a political analyst as well, VOP in-house analyst. Good morning to you, Barrister.
Good morning, Moses and the rest of the crew. How was your weekend?
Very well, thank you. Now, from our Edo outstation, we have Edosa Okumbo, who is a journalist and a public affairs analyst. Well, thank you very much for joining us from our Edo outstation. We'll also be touching on Port Harcourt station and Oka as well. Yes, we'll be touching on some of our outstations in the course of the program. So you get a feel of what Nigerians are saying from different parts of Nigeria. So, going straight into this one, Barrister Darlington Agubo, let me start with you. How excited are you? Are you excited that Bello Turji is shaky at this time, according to reports? Some would say this is an intelligence report because calls were intercepted and his voice was said to have been shaky while he called for backup. But unfortunately, that we hear was ignored. Are you excited?
I am not.
Why so?
Why did they wait for this long? The day this man was banned, why didn't somebody pick him up? He was not a terrorist then. The day he was before the camera with the governor of Zamfara state, pointing finger that you, one of you gave us this business we are doing. All this while they did not pick him up. Look at the damage he has done to everybody, both to civilian lives, our military. I should clap for you now, Abi. No, I should clap for you now that you have done what? Why is that man still in Nigeria all this while? Look, I don't like the way Nigerian government do their own thing. What happened to proactive measures? Proactive. You always do reactionary. I should clap for them now, Abi. How about those that this man have killed many years ago that they should have picked him up? What happened to them? Unless they return those people alive, all the damage, unless they reverse it, that's the only time I will clap for the Nigerian military. If not, I am not interested. All these terrorists that are disturbing us, so they could do all this. What are they waiting for? What are we waiting for? That is, it's like closing the back door after the horse has escaped. Look at what that man have done to Nigerians. The wasted lives. And now you are telling me they have done this, they have done
Barrister,
that.
I'm not privy to the information of Bello Turji turbanned and then in a picture with the Zamfara state governor. Which of the governors? The recent one or the previous one?
No, the previous one now.
Okay.
The previous one, yes.
Okay.
Was it turbanned or not? When he was turbanned, did the state official not show their presence? When that man was, in fact, he was like a king. In fact, we divided the Zamfara state into two and was controlling some parts. Look at how long this man has been
Are you
operating.
talking about Wadume or?
No, I said Turji. What do you mean by Wadume? Turji Bello. He was banned. Is that not true? Why couldn't you pick him? That time he was not a terrorist or what? Was he a governor? And later turned to a terrorist. Please, Nigerian government should learn how to do things.
All right.
In a timeless manner, because lives were wasted by that man.
All
so
right.
if you get him now, it's like the man has even gotten a feel of all he wanted to do.
All right then. Well, some will say little drops of water makes an ocean.
Let them bring those they are killed. Let them bring them.
Let me come to you now, Mr. Fafatuke. What are your thoughts on this? Do you feel the same way, or do you have a different view?
As much as naturally inclination we want to sway to what the barrister has said, I will look at it from a relative positive angle. 5 days after our remembrance of fallen heroes, our military found their feet. Intelligence worked in relative terms. And the camp of the enemy, allegedly, has been thrown into some kind of confusion. I'm happy to hear that. And my prayer and wish is that they should continue. As to Turji being turbaned, yes, I am aware that the government, not just the Zamfara state government, I know something similar, in coloration also happened in Katsina State. And going further down, I know handshakes have been made by non-state actors according to what we hear in the kinetic and non-kinetic approach to solving the crime problems. Whether it was now Turji, because I know Turji's name has been mentioned, I am in full alignment with one of Nigeria's past presidents. Not many people liked him, who actually said that when terrorism or the kind of experience that we are having is going for more than a period of time, the hands of government is there. And like Barrister Gomo said, don't forget that a state governor took a decision that he was going to go the whole hog of trying to turban. Federal government also had a policy of assimilation, the-assimilation, without going the whole hog of demilitarizing, because you cannot see what is in the heart and mind of the negative, malcontents. Don't also forget that part of what this military is fighting, apart from this disjoint that we are talking about from the subnational, okay, and the national, is that the locals are highly leaned towards making sure what we now begin to see as one step forward, perhaps 2 steps backwards. It's not winning the war, even though we say we've been to battles. So all in all, I say half-half. I was having discussions with one of my very good friends, Mr. Okoro, and that I was more of praying. He was more of pragmatism. And so many people are like my friend here. I mean, as we speak, in the next minute, in the next hour, we might find another set of things.
Okay.
But when you put all that together, I think I congratulate the military.
Okay.
They should be precise, make less mistakes, and go into the heart and mind of the matter, while our government now becomes very holistic in their approach to this battle.
Let me stay with you, Mr. Fatuk. I want us to talk a bit about intelligence. We've been asking for intelligence, and looks like we have seen one. you know, because according to Zagazola, you know, who is he's a counter-terrorism expert, he says that the camp of Turji Bello, you know, that they are panicking, maybe because they think that they are being smoked out, you know, hideouts were destroyed and all of that. Is it some form of, is it a new thinking, you know, in intelligence gathering? And how much should that represent going forward, you know, as a track to fight insurgency? Because we clearly understand that intelligence gathering is key. And I like the fact that you said there is this back and forth. Today they are winning, tomorrow, you know, they are losing and all of that. So how much of intelligence, how much more of intelligence do we require to prosecute this war? It's essentially not a matter of using Tucano jets and ammunition and all of that, drones and all of that.
Intelligence is as effective as some of the efficiencies that we are beginning to see. So when we see little bits and pieces of efficiencies, we say, oh, maybe this is a star in the blazoning in the horizon. Such intelligence existed, but were they made to work integratedly in a way and manner that they had the heart and the mind of the locals? I can say for sure that we've had fantastic intelligence in some of these battles, and the largest and the most far-reaching that I can recall was during President Jonathan's time, where Hejirika was moving at real speed, and all, if you want to put it that way, all forces gave him a long go ahead until he was stopped. Stopped by who? By interests that go beyond us. Go to DSS, you find intelligence waiting to be deployed. But forces beyond that, they've not been given some orders. Plus, internally, efforts being made to sabotage our military by members of the military itself. So when you put all these things together, I want to hope, I want to believe that we are now having what we describe as mystery shopping, whereby intelligence says you should go on recon or reconnaissance, air, depending on where you are located, is all giving all the required information. But I am.
Does that sound like politicizing insecurity in Nigeria?
I think, well, I am aware that the insecurity we have in Nigeria is more than politicized. We are not looking at it from the same angle. Within the military itself, allegedly, at one point in time, I heard that some of our boys and girls who have been, enlisted in different other areas are the ones that go to face the bullet. I heard about that. And I think it's most unfortunate. Don't forget also the welfare of the rank and file. Are they being paid what they should be paid and all that? The big sick that we call corruption is still in-house. Okay. But, I am consistent to say, with all this in place, I think I still want to commend our boys, our girls, our men and women gallant, those who have, passed on in the bullet, and those who are still grappling now.
Now, Barrister, you pointed out how Turji was to banned in Katsina State, in Zamfara State. It's important for us not to, make the people think that actually happened. What happened there as of 2 years ago was that there was an issue, let's call it an amnesty thing that happened. Remember that Turji came up and was talking about how his people coming back from markets and all that have been raped and, their own cattle being roasted and all that. That was led to them defending themselves, And when you made mention of this, and a report by RCRR that happened, I think, on August 24, 2022, they pointed out that there was a peace accord signed by the then governor of Zamfara State with this Turji Bello. He repented. And that was how he moved in, making sure that all the boys that he picked to work for him, he had to pull them back to, make sure that they desist from the whole evil they were doing in that region. and there was relative peace, in that Zurumi axis and all that. Now, my question to you is this: you say you're not happy that Nigerian government would have, take out all the unscrupulous elements in this country that have been causing us one or two things. Now, let's take it back again to, this question is going to be like two wings now. For example, in the Southeast, we're having issue of insecurity bedeviling that region. For example, in Anambra State, a priest was killed some time ago, and other persons, issues of kidnapping and all that. Now, the governor of the state come up to say he's going to give 5 million to whistleblowers, people that will tell them where, those people who have been causing unrest in the states are. Take it back again to what is happening in the north, where people were being asked to lay down their arms for peace to reign relatively. Are you not seeing that the government is really working hard to make sure that insecurity in country is being curbed or is being reduced?
I don't know why you brought the Southeast into this mix.
They are also having issue of insecurity, Barrister Darlington.
Good. Please, what this Bello, Turji Bello and his fellow rascals have done, taking territories, collecting taxes from farmers and all that. Can you please point out where such a thing has happened in the Southeast, where a terrorist kingpin is discussing with governors, discussing peace, giving terms and conditions? Could you just point out one particular area in the South where it has happened? And can you tell me when government officials, especially federal government, have called the so-called people in the Southeast, please, you come, let us talk. I want to give you amnesty. There was nothing like that. Let us talk of what is on ground and where it is coming from, and which is the north. If Turji Bello had been picked up long ago, avoidable deaths would have been recorded. Avoidable. Many avoidable deaths. So why would you now wait? You saw somebody, a terrorist kingpin, and all his activities, and you are now waiting for him to do what? I don't understand.
Barrister.
You have been pampering these people. That's why they're becoming bolder and bolder.
Barrister, let me chime in at this point. The kinetic and non-kinetic approach that government largely is taking, how effective would you say it has been?
It has not been effective. All those language, they use it to confuse the public. Kinetic and non-kinetic. What is the result at the end of the day? I remember it was one chief of army staff who brought it. Your kinetic and non-kinetic. What is the result? That is my question. What is the result?
I'm asking you now.
There was no result now. So nobody should bring that particular word again.
So what would you suggest if you were to advise?
It is the same way America handle terrorists. Let's follow suit. Don't discuss with them. When you see them, shoot aside.
You don't think that some of them might have been lured to it? You don't think that they should
as long as you are carrying arms, forget about any other thing you are telling me. And you have killed our soldiers, you have killed our people. What is the essence of discussing peace with you? Is that how America returned their position? Do you know that America is in fact, if there is any other country that the terrorists hated in the whole world, it's America. America too does not like them. That's why they are always ahead of the game. Please, can you explain to me why we have all these people in Nigeria?
Now, Barrister Darlington, you're saying shoot aside, but we know that sometimes those terrorists, they have civilians who are innocent and they use them as shield. So are you not also saying that when we come in contact with them, that we should just open fire? What happened to the life of the innocents that happened to be in their camp?
When they go to the battlefront, they don't go with civilians. That is.
So we're looking at bombardment of their regions or the hideouts.
Look, there are areas of that is battleground. You have all the equipment to know where they are. In this age and time, modern technology will tell you, look, this is where these people. After all, when they are planning their strategy, they don't carry women and their children in that place. You should know, strike while the iron is hot. You allow them to gather all their people, do all the damage, then you now start fighting. By that time, you endanger the life of our soldiers. But if this thing had been nipped in the bud, ab initio, oh my God, please, we should not even be discussing this thing at all. It's unheard of. Nigeria, the biggest black nation in the whole world, that terrorists are killing our soldiers. How do you justify that?
Okay.
If I were the commander-in-chief, I would court-martial all the military chiefs.
All right.
Why would they lose
it? You're not.
I will do it. Because it's wrong for you to lose your men to rascals. You took men to the battlefront and they were killed by bandits and terrorists. Okay. How do you explain it?
Let me bring Mr. Fafatuke back into the conversation. Bombarding terrorist hideouts. We've seen where that has led us to, where civilians have been killed. In very recent time, I think in Zamfara State, a few people were also reportedly killed in such bombardments, even though the military has come out to say that look, some of the bombs that exploded were secondary bombs, not the ones deployed by the military. How would you assess the intelligence gathering of the military in this administration and reconnaissance and, activities that has been going on? The other day, let's also marry this to it. 40 farmers were killed. Soldiers went to recover the corpses, and they were also attacked and killed. How would you relate all of this in terms of intelligence gathering?
Thank you. Just like Chukwumakoro asked, I am settled to really believe realistically that there's still a lot to do with our intelligence. I will not want to equate the relatively, speaking now, American precision with the Nigerian precision. Pina, like you said, members of your family and mine, our children have been abducted, call it for whatever reason, and they are being used as shields, one. And then the locals themselves are the ones supplying information to these terrorists. It is going to be very difficult, honestly difficult. The Tucano, jets, I will tell from us by Obama, on account of imprecise intelligence and the fact that we have not been able to find a way. What exactly is the issue? What do these terrorists want? From onset, they told us, and we're all aware, that they said Western education is sin. And that as far as they are concerned, it is going to be a negative integer to our development in a place where others don't see that. No, so they go for, so what they do is they go for some of these sub-targets. Now, if we agree, and I agree, that we are not yet there, plus all the other internal contradictions that I have mentioned, the greatest amongst the Achilles heel for our military is that the locals are virtually in bed with this.
Talking about the locals now.
With this malcontent.
The locals. Let's go back in time. In 2022, there was a turbaning of a militant leader, that's Alero. Alero was turbaned in Zamfara State, and then he addressed the people right after the event, and he said, "Look, I'm not a terrorist. I'm not a bad person. I'm a freedom fighter." Mm-hmm. Some of these people, yes, Boko Haram talks about how they don't like Western education, but some of these bandits see themselves as freedom fighters. This is also what some would say have necessitated some uprising in other parts of the country, where people have the ideology that they're fighting for their freedom. How should government address this? And how then would you convince the locals not to be supportive if they believe that these guys are freedom fighters?
Moses, you just reminded me of Henry David Thoreau, who postulated that it is not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. Even at the international level, after a lot of heinous things are done against fellow humankind, people will run to the International Court of Justice, and say we are fighting for our rights, we are fighting for our emancipation, and you give them some kind of thought, especially where we have ungoverned spaces, where development have not, in fact, they've not even seen a ray of light in a manner of speaking. So as far as they are concerned, yes, they are freedom fighters. So what should the rest of the country now look at? Two things, the kinetic and non-kinetic, very, very important, and development and ray of light comes into it. I mean, the way to start is from the grassroots. Okay. Not by having almajiris, not by having so many children and then putting them out. No, in fact, it's already oscillating towards the south now. So when you don't have such a development, Alero made that point. Please, let's even make a mention. Then President Obasanjo, out of presidency, took a direct step and went to Borno State. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to sit on the fence. I'm not interested in all this killing of innocent people. Can we go and speak to the local leaders? He went there at the risk of his life. Before he got back, to the airport to be flown back, that guy was killed. We are dealing with real fundamental issues that divide us, that make us not one tongue or one tribe, and one of the cure is to know our limitations, get ourselves together, and take a decision about our restructuring. Very important.
Let me stay with you, Mr. Fatuke. I like the fact that you talked about non-kinetic and non-kinetic. Moses mentioned it. You also talked about America. Barrister Darlington mentioned it. I want to see, is there a possibility that we change the approach to fighting insurgency, fighting terrorism specifically? Yes. Because if you talk about America, there is this disposition matrix developed by Obama administration. It was headed by John Brennan, who was a former CIA director. Yeah. It's essentially called a kill list. Exactly. What they do is that they look out for the key actors, kingpins, of terrorism. They try to smoke them out from all ends of the earth. Exactly. And the philosophy behind it is that when you do that, if you strike the shepherd, the sheep will scatter. Yes. Rather than having to go and say you destroyed hideout, and in the process you have disproportional collateral damage where civilians are killed. We have seen that happen in several times, even in recent times. Rather than using, if you recall that when Bin Laden was killed, the ranks of whatever his organization was decimated and they were scattered all and here and there. When Shekau was eventually killed, you discover that Boko Haram also was more like diminished, their stature and power diminished. Shouldn't the government be looking at that track of trying to, like Turji, Bello, whatever it takes, take him out? Any kingpin you discover that is heading, take him out. More like what Israel does with Hamas and Hezbollah and all of that. Isn't that a track we should follow rather than trying to buy Tucano jets and like Kogo said that Dr. Kogo, head of CCT, said we should go and bomb 9 forests. Sambisa and is one of them and all of that. And in the process, we are also going to record civilian casualties. What's your reaction?
My reaction, therefore, is to take it from the very last example that you gave about Shekau. Shekau had how many lives? 25 lives. So the military will say they decimated him, he will rise up again, apparently being shielded internally. And when I say internally now, I am talking about not just the locals. I have strong suspicion that even state governors in those areas, I have strong suspicion. And if you look at how they came, it was all part of this politics, trying to go get people from elsewhere to come and do dirty work for you, and then after they do the dirty work for you, you get in there, you have no answer to how to demobilize them, settle them. That is the crux of the matter. Ideally, I am at a loss that what you prescribed you know, the way and what manner you prescribe it, that is not with our high command, I will be surprised. Because I know it is. I keep on making the example. I'm sorry, it might sound a bit pedestrian to some people. A Nigerian general got up and was making inroads like the late Debbie was making. Late Debbie made a lot of inroads, cleared, like you said, cleared all these people and said, look, I have a limitation. I'm now in your territory. Please do the rest. What did Nigeria do? Secondly, the UAE gave us a list of terrorists, financiers, and kingpins. What again did we do about it? Thirdly, we also knew, allegedly, people we felt are aiding and abetting terrorists. They vie for elections, they come back to office, in our own very eyes, we see it, because according to the law of democracy, there are people who have voted for them. So whoever you are going to have in the center has his job more than cut for him if you do not sweep these things from the grassroots. From the grassroots. I repeat, from the grassroots.
All right.
And it's already, this discussion in my mind is not just talking about the North. It's happening elsewhere in our region, apart from the fact that, yes, don't forget the latest that we have. France, even though people are reading, meanings to it, I said they are going to help in doing some tactical training. Britain has Donald Trump, who is going about now in Nigeria, being inaugurated, also has said that, look, there are certain things that will happen and not happen. I think, in my honest opinion, that we should put what we have said as our vision. We should devise a means whereby intelligence is all gathering. Somebody even suggested that if you're an emir, if you're an obi, or if you're an oba in certain areas, and we begin to see that, intelligence is leaked and stuff like that, you will not keep your throne. It may not be the solution, but we need to begin to do something. And we must have a penchant to say no and punish anybody. I'm not saying that in this government, for instance, whereby I don't know what the strategy is. People that have been accused of having their hands and mind and heart allegedly into terrorism.
But we have some people who are being sentenced to, different terms imprisonment already by the government. Now, Barrister, when Chukwuma was talking about, taking out the kingpins and allowing the flock to scatter and all that, you're kind of supported. But now my question is, how possible is that going to be, given the fact that most of those people they're fighting with an ideology? For example, the Boko Haram sect, they have an ideology that they are championing. How possible is it to take away such ideology from someone that can lead to, them turning out to be whistleblowers, working against their own? And why I'm asking this is this: we need to take it back again to what I mentioned of earlier in Anambra State, where monies have been pulled out to say, if you're a whistleblower, we'll give you a certain amount of money. And we know that some of them actually have an ideology that they're championing. How possible will it be for us to fight insecurity with
Fina, Nazi Germany was an ideology created by Hitler. Where is that ideology today? The whole world came together and told Hitler that, no, this your ideology is anti-social, is anti-people, is anti-human being. And they pulled it down. They shut it down. And that ended it. Is Germany not moving forward today? You see, when we have decided to pamper evil, it will manifest in different forms. This particular list that everybody has been talking about, except they look into that list they brought to us as for those who sponsor terrorism, my dear, we are wasting our time, because when you clear this particular set of people, another set will grow up some, because the financiers, they are not tired yet. That is the issue here. The whole world rose up against Hitler and that ended his murderous campaign. Why is it that here we are pampering them? The top commanders that was arrested before, they put 64 of them in that Kuje prison. Listen very well, maybe you don't know what's going on. These people, when they bombed that Abuja-Kaduna train, the first ride, one of the conditions they gave that they want those people released for them and their children. They told the federal government 3 times, they wrote letter. Mamu, this media aide to Sheikh Gumi, was the go-between. The government paid no attention. That if the government refused to release those, that they will go and release them themselves. They said it. FINA, didn't they do that? They just went there, picked them, as if there was no military, there was no police, no nothing. Just like that, they strolled into that prison, collected them, and they strolled out again. Till today, have you heard that those people have been found and brought back to detention?
It boils back to the issue of ideology, which some people are championing. It boils back to the issue because that's the only thing that, it's more like propagating this or adding flame to it. You just made mention of, how it's more like the fight against insecurity is taking one-sided or being lopsided now. So how are we going to fight it with such mentality that some Nigerians have?
The Shiites, I know how Buhari hated the Shiites because they are not part of his own Muslim sect. You know what Buhari did to the Shiites in Zaria? He almost wiped them out because of their brand of Islam. So, if you could do that, why are you now looking at this other one, pampering them? Look, my dear, there are so many conspiracies here, and the government has made it more complicated. They choose what to do and what not to do at every particular point in time. I just gave you an example of the Sheikh. You know what Zazaki have suffered? Is he not a Muslim? So, why are they not tolerating him? But they can tolerate terrorists and bandits. Sheikh Gumi told you that there are good bandits and bad bandits. A man opened his mouth and told the whole Nigeria all these things. So, the problem is with the federal government. Except they decided to do the needful, this thing will persist. I am not amused that some people were killed, told the Bello have been scattered and all that. Look, I won't be surprised if another terrorist Kingpin rise up tomorrow. Because the sponsors are ever willing to do the job they have been cut out to do. Because nobody is talking to them.
All right, but Mr. Darlington, let me stay with you. I want us to talk a bit about the Southeast. Like within the week, last week, Governor of Anambra State, Chukwuma Soludo, launched the Udogachi security outfit. It's more like an internal security outfit for the state. And this contrasts sharply with it. It's good that he's doing that because Anambra State has been in the eye of the storm as far as insecurity is concerned in the Southeast. Now, it detracts from the agenda of other Southeast governors, considering Ebubago. Now, if the Southeast governors are working not in concert with each other, like we have in the Southwest, that you have Amoteku, that is doing a very good job in the Southeast, in the Southwest, if you ask me. This tendency of each of the Southeast governors to work in isolation with other ones, what does that speak to the collective fight against insecurity in the Southeast?
It is the same way politics have divided the states in the Southeast. How many political parties are, rolling riots in the Southeast? You have PDP, I think in Enugu. You have APC in Ebonyi. You have Labour Party in Abia. Okay. Then you have ABGA, and in Anambra, and APC in Imo State. So look at it.
No, but it's almost similar in the Southwest. They have PDP and APC.
But no Labour Party, no ABGA.
So is it ABGA and Labour Party? Are they the ones causing the problem in the Southeast?
But they can make a difference because they want to protect their interests.
In terms of securing the Southeast?
Is that what?
In terms of securing the Southeast, protect their interests.
Look, Mr. Ogoro, have you... So you don't know that the bigger business in Nigeria today is politics?
Okay.
Yes, that is what is fueling this thing that we are talking about, this insecurity. Political will to do the needful. I have said it severally.
But sorry, Barrister Darlington. Sorry, Barrister Darlington. Yes. Before, when Ebubago was formed, Abia wasn't Labour. Ebonyi wasn't Labour. Sorry, Ebonyi wasn't APC. It was clearly between APC and ABGA with Hope Uzodinma, the sole member of the APC. Yet they were unable to put their acts together to fight. You know what happened to Ebubago as an outfit? My question is, why is it difficult for Southeast governors to agree on one thing?
No, when it comes to things like this, especially this insecurity, there is a limit to what they can do, especially the people from the Southeast. And
the limit is not in the Southwest?
Of course, you can see how Amoteku was empowered to do what they are doing. Even they were even given a limited arms, Abi. They were giving arms. Can the federal government allow any security outfit in the South to carry arms? Please tell me.
Barrister, you recall that when Amoteku was launched, who was the Attorney General then? The last Attorney General came up. Malami said, no, this thing can't work. But Akoredolu, God bless his soul, he was able to work around it and ensured in concert with other Southwest governors. And they were armed, even by the states. They were able to get licenses for them. Why can't Southeast governors do that?
Okoro, whenever the lizard is playing in the rain, the rat must not follow to go and join it because the rain may drive easily on the body of the lizard.
Can you explain the relevance
But that of the rat, it will not.
Can you explain that?
You all know how the Southeast have been marginalized on almost everything. Look at what have been going in the South, and we have been shouting and shouting and shouting. Did anybody listen to you? Hold on. All this, the siege that have been led in the South by the military. Mention any other place in Nigeria where such a thing is going on.
But Barrister Darlington, Ubago outfit is working in Imo State for Hope Uzodinma, as the case may be, and some of them are armed too. Are you not saying that the Southeast will not be allowed to carry arms?
Who armed them?
Ubago outfit have been is working. They're working in Imo State. They're working in Imo State.
Not here when the Igbos and the Ohanes they told the Hope Uzodinma to disband Ubago because he was found in his office.
So do you think it is now a thing of politics, or is it now a thing of people not coming together to say they want to fight?
Yes, we saw it as Hope Uzodinma's foot soldiers, and that's why we said they should go. That was what happened.
All right. Then.
The other ones where we said that the government should allow us to do. Why haven't they allowed it? Because it will not favor their interests. ESN have told you, allow us to police the South. If somebody die, one person, hold on responsible. Mr. Okoro and Moses, is that not what happened? Why didn't the government say, okay, let us give you this benefit of that? Oh yeah. Right. They refuse because it will not fall into their agenda. The one they want to do is what they are doing.
All right. We're coasting home now. As we wrap this conversation up, I know we'll still talk about insecurity. If it's not nipped in the bud anytime soon, we will come back here to talk about it. But for today, let me come back to Mr. Fatunke. The role of non-governmental organizations. Fingers have been pointed at NGOs for helping to sustain these insurgents by secretly supplying them arms and food as well. And we know that some of these organizations are sponsored by foreign organizations, and some of them, Nigeria, needs them to survive because we collect loans and some of these things by those foreign organizations that are also working in line with some of these non-governmental organizations. How can we control the activities of NGOs, especially foreign NGOs?
Intelligence. No kinetic approach, which I must say with emphasis and with sense of responsibility, has moved up some notch. Terrorist financing has not gone as deep as we expect. But we know the Binance or no Binance, and that tracing the money is becoming an issue. Collaboration with outside world. For the NGOs, for instance, I am aware the CBN has initiated a policy to say, can we see what your governance is and the monies that come How do we trace? How are we able to trace? Barrister Agomo has, in my opinion, said exactly what is in the mind of everybody, no matter where you stay. That the issue of insecurity, apart from what we have discussed this morning, is politics. It is a matter of who holds the reign of power at the center, and then the rest will now begin to say, no, we agree, we don't agree. So what does that tell you? An intelligent elder will now then say, look, wait a minute. I move to the right, no respite. I move in the center, no respite. I move in there, okay, look, can we all sit together, have a concretized look at Nigeria without necessarily firing a gun? Go do your governance and your mores and your values the way you want to do, without necessarily drawing from the center. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in my opinion, is trying against all odds to try and see how we can trickle some of these things down.
All right.
Do you see the kind of pushback that he gets? That is the real irony of the Nigerian nationhood. NGOs know that money is being traced. I know about 2 or 3 NGOs who are in Nigeria. They got the funds. They've been buying cars. They've been doing things here and there. They are facing some form of prosecution, which has to go through the normal process. I think we need to identify that and identify that neatly. My last word will be in my mind, me and Mr. Chukwuma Okoro, we don't always see eye to eye, but he asked the most potent question on this table to speak to why is it, in spite of the odds, that we cannot have a common front, call it a common front. We may be different in all respects in the Southeast, so we can all speak with one language. The whole of the other regions, progressive regions in my mind, have advocated this, but yet it is not coming. From the response that Mr. Agomo has said, it's just a matter of politics. It has to be a particular person or a particular party that will be able to galvanize, and it may not necessarily work that way.
All right, then.
Mr. Aki, I'm surprised you said that we don't see eye to eye. I don't know where that's coming from.
All right, then, Barrister.
Go back to some of our we don't have to see eye to eye.
Sorry, please. Let's get Barrister's concluding thoughts.
NGO is not the problem of Nigeria. They are not the cause of insecurity. It's like you left the leprosy that is worrying you and you are chasing rashes. NGO is not the problem. That's the truth. And let me make it clear for the purpose of listening and the viewing public. Amoteku is not operational in Lagos State. Lagos State opted out for reasons best known to them. It's the other 5 states that embrace Amoteku. So on that score, you can see that even in the Southwest, they are not united. But yes, now, why did Lagos opt out? That's even where you need it most.
No, Lagos did not opt out.
Is
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, fine.
But Lagos did not opt out.
But then where is Amoteku in Lagos?
As far as we are concerned, Lagos opted out. But I know that Lagos supplied intelligence. Wait. If I can see that in the Southeast, if the states, 5 states in the Southeast, and you can tell me 4 can speak with one voice and 1 is out, we are moved.
The fact remains that.
So it's all politics.
Hold on.
As far as I'm concerned.
The fact remains that Amoteku is not operational in Lagos. But that's by the way.
Okay.
What I'm saying in essence is that you see this insecurity. Moses, I'm afraid though, the way I'm looking at this thing, our children are coming to discuss this matter if we are not careful. Every time insecurity, they kill 20 here, they kill 200 here, they kill. When will it end?
Well, that's the big question.
When will restructure?
And we do hope that we will see an end to the insecurity that is bedeviling Nigeria very soon. Well, let's go to another conversation. We'd like the gentleman to stay with us. Tinubu's economic policies will set new records in 2025, IMPI says. Let's look at this when we come back.
Thank you so much for staying with us still VOP this morning. And on our second conversation, the Independent Media and Policy Initiative, IMPI, predicts unprecedented economic milestones for Nigeria in 2025. And this will be driven by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's transformative policies. In a statement on Sunday, IMPI Chairman Niyi Akinsiju highlighted significant gains since Tinubu's reforms began in 19 months ago, including the revitalization of the petroleum sector, increased oil production, and a booming export market. Local petroleum refining fueled the regulation of the downstream sector, and the approval of major oil assets and sales in 2024 have boosted investor confidence. Analysts forecast that crude oil production will rise to 1.78 million barrels per day, and by year end of 2025, with the government targeting 2.06 million barrels per day production. IMPI also praised Nigeria's 2024 trade surplus, fueled by a 3.51% export surge, a non-oil export growth, and record-breaking export volumes. Customs also reported a staggering 219.5% increase in export value to 136.65 trillion naira, with rising revenues, robust tax receipts, and ongoing GDP rebasing. IMPI asserts that Nigeria is poised for sustained economic resilience and global competitiveness in 2025. Interesting one by IMPI. We still have with us in the studio. We have Barrister Darlington Agomo as a political analyst and VOP TV in-house analyst. And also, beside him is a communication consultant and an arbitrator in the person of Mr. Akin Fatenke. And we'll also be going to our Benin station where we'll get response also from the guests that we have there in the studio. So we encourage you to do well, to stay with us as this particular conversation continues. Now, I would like to start with you, Mr. Akin Fatenke. The Independent Media and Policy Initiative have come up to say that this 2025, it's going to be more like a blessed year for Nigerians, given the fact that the policy of this present administration, the policy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is yielding results. You know, they made mention of the boom that we saw in non-oil export products, and also another surge again, and the promise of how many crude oil per day will be produced in Nigeria, estimated to be at 1.78 trillion barrels per day. Now, what do you really have to say about this? Where some people are saying that these policies are not working, it's not doing anything, it's more like Nigerians are retrogressing. Some other persons are seeing the policies of this present administration to be, more like walking in the right direction. What do you have to say about this?
I'd like to say I want to congratulate Dr. Akinshiju and his
PI
policy initiative,
yeah,
for throwing out items for discourse. This is the way it is. And as far as I'm concerned, it's item for discourse. I want to praise him and acknowledge him and his team because the same Dr. Akinshiju mentioned the hardships in that same report. We have the hardships that has come from the twin correctional, busting the bubble factors that have dovetailed our economic emancipation, maybe even from independence, if you ask me. But let's limit it to about 20, 30 years. And that is the issue of the political element of fuel subsidy, which is the PMS, to go ahead and deregulate it because of attendant reasons, and then they are aligning and taking away or making an attempt to take away the arbitrage that we have in the foreign exchange market. He came out clearly to say the reforms are hard and harsh, and Nigerians, unprecedented inflation, unemployment, attendant issues that surrounds security that we have been talking about here, and the fact that we had not planned not to fail, meaning that we planned to fail. However, in line with the $1 trillion vision of the present government, they also say we are beginning to see visible signs from 2025 and it went up to about 2026 that with hope and ceteris paribus, like economics will say, all things being equal, and we can get our politics together. Underlying a lot of these things is that we are not looking at that same vision, and we do not believe that, we should find a way to do social impact because of corruption. And that if we do what we need to do, Nigeria is poised to go in that direction. Okay. I see situations where, yes, we could begin to debate it and then begin to break it down. Economic fundamentals. One of the economic fundamentals is that Nigeria could not continue, take it or leave it, could not continue to be in the same bubble. And at the same time, Nigeria must evolve a way that development is going to be taken to the very grassroots and leading by character and example. Essential, very, very important. That's the reason why I commend him, but I also say that he agreed that since 2023, in fact, quarter-on-quarter basis, from 2023, we are beginning to see some jump in GDP. And some people will tell you those are just numbers if they do not trickle down to the grassroots. Pure and simple. All
right, now, Barrister Darlington, it's interesting that Mr. Akinfatunke said that this is more like a discussion. When we look at the issue of the crude oil barrel per day that we produce in Nigeria, as of October or thereabout in November, NNPC come up to say that they're producing 1.78 million barrels per day, but NUPRC said, no, we didn't produce up to that. What we have is like 1.5 or 1.4, staggering between such. Now, how reliable are this, informations or the data that we've been seeing being pulled out by the government? Some time ago, we also talked about how the issue of unemployment in Nigeria have reduced. There was a statistics to that. But we know that Nigerians are still battling the issue of not having a job and all that. So how reliable are all these data that we have out in the public?
When some of these people want to impress Tinubu and APC government, they will churn out figures just to make them look good.
But we have Nigerian Bureau of Statistics also bring out those figures, not just...
No, you are talking of this particular one, this IPPI. This thing is telling us now, please, did he break it down to tell us those snippets of progress he's talking about?
Yes, he did.
Where are they? It's not enough to tell us things. Like he mentioned the oil industry. As I'm talking to you today, our oil industry is thinking with corruption. In fact, it's the most highly corrupted industry in the whole world. Our oil industry, NNPC and Co. So, if that particular cash cow is involved in deep corruption, then what are you reforming? Tell me. How can you reform something that is deep in corruption? You have not even made any attempt. And you are still telling me that you have... Mention one single attempt that has made to clean up NNPC. This is a company that has been... privatized. Yet, they are even playing a role in industry. Other sectors of the economy like telecom, NCC is not a player. NEPA, NERC is not a player. Why is it that it's only in the petroleum industry that a regulator is a player? And you are telling me that you are reforming. What are you reforming? Or are we not aware of what that goes on that went down under this NNPC, the corruption and all that? So if you have not cleaned it, please, which other industry are you talking about? So all these figures that they turn out is just for the government to look good. In reality, there is nothing on ground. Nothing.
All right, then let's go to our Benin station now, where Edosa Okumbo is standing by. He's a journalist, the public affairs commentator. Good morning to you, Edosa. Welcome to the conversation. I do believe that you've been following the conversation. Let's get your take, really. How impressed are you with the policies of this administration?
Good morning, viewers. Happy New Year. I'm happy to be back on the studio. On the issue at stake, I think I'm one of the optimists that the economic policies of this present regime, this present administration.
I'd like for you to speak up a bit so we can hear you clearly, because we're struggling to hear you. Go ahead, please.
I believe that the economic policies of the present government will take Nigeria out of the wood and then place us on a pedestal of progressivism. What I'm saying this is I have the views, and I'm very confident that before now we were living on borrowed times. We're living on we're living artificial life, you know, over-bloated life, you know, being given to us as a result of the fuel subsidy that was in place. And politically, the will of Mr. President to deregulate the oil sector, to me, is very commendable, because before now, it's been a sector for the cabals in the oil industry. And that has been taken off. Then the floating of the naira is another factor, you know, where I know for now it has not stabilized, but I know that with time to come, as we progress, this thing will begin to yield results. The problem is the on the street feels the impact of this economic reform. If there was no way to impress them or to tell them that Nigeria is indeed on the progress path. As we speak, even when prices of petroleum products are coming down, the major players in the field, like the transporters, the traders, all of them, they have refused to adjust their prices. In Benin, where we stay here, transport fare is still very much on the high side. Meanwhile, excuse me, meanwhile,
So sorry about that. Now, Mr. Idosa, you said something about how Nigerians are living a bogus life, you know, with the fuel subsidy and all that. Now, isn't it a bit, you know, laughable that Nigeria is the only oil-producing country that does not subsidize that particular product? And you also made mention of when the fuel price is already coming down. How true is it, where we know that before now, Nigerians get fuel at 200 or thereabouts, but now it's at 1,000 something. And just Saturday, filling stations are now experiencing another level of scarcity because these products are not even available, and Nigerians can't even purchase it because of the reduction in purchasing power. Is that something that you are aware of that Nigerians are not aware of?
There's no rocket science to the issue. The problem is that Nigeria is a very, how do I put it? Nigeria is a very complex country. So it is the more you look, the less you see. I want to tell you for free, I am not a government spokesman or trying to launder the image of government. For the first time in the history of Nigeria in the past 10 years, this is the first time we are having Christmas and New Year celebration without fuel queues, without sleeping in the filling stations to buy fuel. And as I still speak to you this morning, you can drive into any filling station in Edo State. In fact, they are empty. Stations are empty. Just buy according to your ability and you go. And the cost price for today by NNPC marketers is 990 naira. It has not gone up to 1,000. For the first time, we saw that prices went up and then it's trickling down, even little by little. But it has no effect on the welfare of the people. It has no effect on our purchasing power. It has no effect on...
You know that, yes, you said 10 years. You mentioned within a period of 10 years. During the Jonathan era, we also had a similar fuel distribution and all of that. Please stay with us as we'll come back to you in the course of the show. We want to come back to the studio. Now, Barrister Darlington, during Mr. Akin's intervention, he said something about what Niyi Akin-Seju has done, you know, what he put out there, IMPI. I mean, I've read the report too. If I had an opinion, I would say that he created some kind of balance. He recognized the fact that there is hardship in the land. But something is striking about what Niyi did, and is the fact that, look, a lot of people also believe, like Niyi and other people, that, look, this administration seems to have the right policies, but they are not pushing it out. I mean, Niyi has essentially done what the president's handlers are not doing. I mean, what do they do? If Obi said something, they say he has crossed the line. If Abubakar says something, they say that Obi is hurting from his loss of the 2023 election. If Atiku said something, he said he's because he didn't do well in his own time. If Shorowo said something, they will lash out at him. Rather than doing what Niyi exceptionally captured, do you think that this administration, especially the handlers of the president, they are politicizing the policies instead of politicizing the politics? What do I mean by that? What I mean is that, look, if you feel that strongly that this economy is doing very well, real out statistics. Tell us the number of people, you know, that have new jobs. Tell us that multidimensional poverty has reduced by a certain percentage. Tell us that the rate of Naira has come, exchange rate is down, and all of that. Well, I want you to comment about politicizing the politics instead of politicizing the politics of this administration.
Because you say, you know, they said the bad workman always quarrel with his tools. When they have failed in their policies, so they don't want anybody to pick holes in what they are doing. They don't want people to expose their weaknesses. That is where it's coming from. And it is very common with every dictator. Everybody who has failed as a government, that's what they do. They don't want to listen to a second opinion.
But Barrister, I just told you that people have agreed that the policies, even Obasanjo admitted that the policies are right, but it's a problem of implementation.
Mr. Okoro?
Yes, sir.
They also agree with Buhari. They also agree with Buhari. I was here. They said Buhari is the next thing after God. That all his policies, in fact, before he leave office, Nigeria will be paradise. They were praising him to high heaven. You saw what happened under him. People were dying, jumping inside lagoon. Two of us, at the end of the day, what happened? The same people that praise him, they are the same people praising Tinubu today. So I am not amused. I will never be amused. So when people are telling you things, take it with a pinch of salt. In fact, if you like, a basket of salt. Because when these things have been said, by the time Tinubu will leave office, either in 2027 or 2031, we'll be here. Thank God. God will keep. I will ask you how far. The same way I'm asking them about Buhari now, how far? Have you noticed that nobody wants to mention Buhari's name in the mix? Nobody. They have forgotten about Buhari and all the things they told us he was going to do and all that. Is that not the height of deceit? And this man told you he was coming to continue with Buhari's legacy. So how do you think progress will come?
Barrister Darlington, this president's administration have also told Nigerians that they inherited, you know, more like a near bankrupted economy from the past administration. Okay, they've been talking about how the policies or whatever thing he did before. I'm talking about what Buhari did not favor Nigerians at this particular time. So they are not covering up. But now my question on this particular one is this, Nambara. So when you look at some of the policies that this president administration have, pull out or bring to the table, we have the issue of tax reform, which Nigerians believe that if that venture scale through, is going to help to get more money for the government and also reduce the workload or the load that Nigerians who are not earning much are having. We also have the president's administration also talked about local government autonomy, which happens to be a way for them or for even development to be seen in this country. We have the student loan. We have a whole lot of other policies. We have the state policing, coming up on the table. Are these policies not a good one for Nigeria, if I'm to ask, as a nation? Isn't all these policies now more like helping us?
None of them has seen, and none of them will see the light of day, because it was badly conceived. I mean, badly conceived. When you want to do things like this, Fina, call people, call experts, let them give you a template, let them give you an idea, so that it will work, it will be sustainable. All these things we mentioned now, please, can you mention any of them that have been working efficiently, that is not under litigation as we talk now? Mention one. That has not even been reversed. The so-called fuel subsidy everybody is banning about, has it not been reversed several times?
Don't you think it's the pushback that Mr. Aki referenced?
Which pushback?
Pushback by some elements.
No. If it is good, even the devil will embrace it.
The tax reform policies, are they not good and people push back?
I said if it is good, the devil will appreciate it. He won't even comment. That's what I'm telling you. I can give you an example with Jonathan. When he wanted to introduce ATM, we saw what happened. He didn't just wake up and say, everybody start with this ATM. He tested it with 3 cities. After 3 cities, he now did it 6 cities. It was when the thing was in bread that he now threw it open. Is that not true? The TSA, the same thing.
When Jonathan when Ihejirika was making progress under Jonathan, wasn't there a pushback? Wasn't Ihejirika doing well in terms of fighting insecurity? Wasn't there pushback?
Yes, he was doing well, yes.
So why was there that pushback?
The pushback came because of a political interest. What else? Good. Is that not what I've been saying?
Now, what I'm saying is, these tax reform policies, aren't they good holistically for Nigerians? But we have witnessed a certain form of pushback.
Look, Mr. Okoro.
Yes, sir.
If you did not bring all the cards on the table for me to see, for me to know what you are doing, how will I accept it? Okay. Because they say when you are bitten by a snake, if you see the head of a lizard, you will take off. We have seen this type of thing happen somewhere.
All right.
Where they told us they are going to bring tax reform in Lagos and not. At the end of the day, what happened?
Okay.
Mr. Okoro, what happened?
Well, thank you very much, Barrister Darlington. I do think that you seem to have a different opinion.
Yes, so...
No, not you.
No, Mr.
Oh, of course. Yes, so he must have a different opinion from
Go
me.
ahead,
because we don't see things...
Well, let's have your opinion.
In the same level. Quite a number of things that is thrown out, I disagree with.
Okay.
That Obasanjo was praising Buhari. Obasanjo, even before Buhari came, said that Buhari was a new fight when it comes to economy. So let's place things the way they are. The real problem, again, comes back to politics, us not looking at things the same way. And Fina, you also reeled out a couple of policies. My dear friend says he's not seeing any of them as we speak. Local governments have opened bank accounts in alignment with what the Supreme Court has said. Some people will not say that for whatever reason because of politics. Now, you also spoke about issues surrounding state police or no state police. Again, still a contention. Then the last one on the tax reform bills. There are political aspects of that tax reform bill. There is the holistic aspect of tax reform bills. Some people still say they've not seen that. A consensus has just been reached on the VAT or no VAT. For the very first time, no Nigerian president has done what Bola Tinubu has done. It doesn't matter whether you like it or you don't like it. I, therefore, posit. We will never, unfortunately, that is the truth, we will never be able to see things in that same light if we continue to hold our own bit of the short end of the sticks. Mr. Chukuma, you said Dr. Niyi Akishiju has given a policy document, well researched, and that the handlers of this government are politicizing. I agree with you, naturally, because we do not have opposition. If we had opposition, who can come up with concrete things like this? This is the way we can do it, this is the way we can do it.
Well, how
we
do
do
you
not
say
have
we don't have opposition when certain individuals have actually come out?
We
at the
do not
beginning of
have.
the year?
Can the opposition produce what Niyi Akishiju has produced? That's what I'm saying.
Is that the job of the opposition?
Oh, it's not the job of the opposition.
No,
so this is
like that. The opposition has done that.
Excuse me.
There is nothing P2B has not said. There is nothing Atiku Abubakar has not said. There is nothing Omoyole has not said.
Please, the only challenge I have here, we are agreed that Niyi Akishiju has been balanced. Has been balanced to tell you to look at the future. Now, if the opposition believes that they are going to come on board and win, and they are as dissipated as they are, well, somebody is fooling somebody. I'm not going to be here to fool. I'm just telling you the fact. You don't have to accept it. Now, the opposition needs to go down the line, compare where we are. Yes, we've gone down. Are you saying Nigeria has no future? Nigeria has no future and you are opposition and you want to be part of that opposition?
I don't believe that is the position of the opposition.
No.
You're getting sentimental.
No, I'm not getting sentimental.
Yes, you are, sir.
Excuse me. Please, let me make my point.
You made your point.
No. You didn't allow me to make my point. You can disagree with my point. I don't have a problem with that. But my point is sacrosanct. I do not have effective opposition, the type of effective opposition that I seem to see.
Okay.
Continue to deceive them.
And
we're going to see in 2027.
So we would hate to misinform the public because the opposition have spoken a number of times. And for speaking up, some of them have been said to be crossing the line. So let's not say we don't have an opposition. They may not have reacted the way you want them to react. Well,
comprehensively, I said. Comprehensively.
Okay.
Can you be comprehensive? We have a comprehensive report from Akishiju. You read it. You got it here.
Mr. Fatuke, the barrister here disagreed with what IMPI put out.
I don't have a problem with his disagreeing.
No, but you are saying that because its balance is the best thing. Opposition has also disagreed with it.
My point is simple. He has a right to disagree, and I have a right to stand on my point.
Most definitely.
You can. So all I am saying is that I want a much more credible. That's what I want. A much more credible, not just pick something. Your house is not in order, and all that we are just looking at is how to grab power at the center.
Mr. Fatuke, let me ask you. Mr. Fatuke, let me ask you. Is there anything Niyi said? Is there anything Niyi said that P2B and Atiku Abubakar and Omoyole Sowore have not said? Is there just one thing?
Can you please give me a comprehensive report that I can have a look at?
It's there already everywhere. It's there already.
Wait a minute. Don't model things. Okay? Can you give me a comprehensive report along the line? In fact, this report that Dr. Akishiju has given is going to be the thing that Nigeria will continue to discuss as we move towards election and thereafter. Yes. I want to say, I'm not saying
a lot of people will disagree with you.
No, you can disagree with me. I can stand alone.
I am not saying Peter Obi
from Niyi. Please, because that's what
if I'm to add to what
I am not saying Peter Obi has not said something. I am not saying that Atiku has not said something. I said I want something comprehensive.
Right, but Mr. Akifatu, the report that Niyi Akishiju also put out is not his original thought. These are actually from NBS and other people that have also financial element that pull out this report, even NMC and NPRC.
Well,
let opposition to collate and give me a report that we can continue to delay. Not on this kind of thing.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, let's go to Benin Station now. We have we still have Edosa Okumbo standing by. Now, I want to take it away from the conversation here, talking about policies and how it's working and how it's not working, because we'll have opposing views regardless of how you see things. Now let's look at Nigeria's. I mean, there is something to celebrate. Well, some Nigerians are celebrating. Others are saying we shouldn't be celebrating just yet. Oh well, we're running out of time, really. Unfortunately, I guess I'll keep this question. I was going to ask the question about Nigeria's inclusion in BRICS, partner as Nigeria joins partner nations. BRICS. Is this a way? Are we going to see things change? How will the U.S. react to some of these things? We know that Donald Trump, who gets sworn in today, has said, look, BRICS, if you tinker with usage of the dollar, you will face 100% tariff. Exactly. And Nigeria joins some of these nations. Oh, well, let's have your concluding thoughts now as we coast home now. Okubo, please, go ahead.
Please come again. I can't get the question right. Am I on? But please come again.
Let's bring it back to the studio now. Let's have your concluding thoughts, Barrister Darlington.
Now, Moses, it is not enough for you to join any group that came up. You have to weigh your options. I just gave you a proverb with a lizard and rat. It's not enough. Look at Ukraine is fighting. Here they are giving you some things to eat. You are not fighting any war. Here you cannot feed. Look at the opposite. So if you are being pushed into joining BRICS, do you weigh the options? What you are going to face with the IMF and all these other people, you are owing money.
Nigeria wasn't pushed into joining.
Hold on now.
But you have a minute, please.
Good.
You have a minute. Look, now your time is up, Barrister. I'm so sorry.
Nigeria joined this in because the Western world, they are beginning to ostracize us. So this man is looking for a way.
We'll delve into this conversation deeper another time. And I hope you'll be here so that we can talk about it.
I hope they don't sell us one day.
Let's have your concluding thoughts.
Congratulations, Nigeria. Okay. Congratulations, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for your persistence. Congratulations to what you are accordingly trying to bring back from the Sustainability Conference at UAE. Like I said, because of politics, people who see say they don't see. People who hear say they don't hear. So I think it's a good one. Nigeria find its bearing and coming to BRICS. Congratulations. When we were not there, they were all shouting.
Congratulations to Nigeria.
Now
thank you very much, gentlemen.
They're also shouting.
We've been speaking with Mr. Akin Fatuke, who is a communications consultant. And we've also had Barrister Darlington with us in the studio. Well, thank you very much, Barrister Darlington. From our Benin station, we've been speaking with Edosa Okumbo, who's a journalist and a public affairs commentator. Unfortunately, well, we'd like him to stay with us as we get into newspaper review. Well, join us again. That's at 9 o'clock, newspaper review with Chukuma and I. But for Voice of the People this morning, we say thank you for joining us. We do wish you a beautiful day. I am Moses Humphrey.
And I'm Fina Okechukwu. Enjoy the rest of your day. Do well to be a patriotic citizen, no matter the challenge that we face. Just, try as much as you can to represent the interests of Nigeria anywhere you are.
I am Chukuma Okoro. Bye for now.